I mean, there used to be like 3 Pilates classes a week, something like that.
All right, I'm on Zoom now.
Okay.
Okay, so we are here for Yin. It's 4:30 on Tuesday, September 20-something, 22nd. If you need blocks and you have blocks, have them. And let's start out in heart bench of some sort. So heart bench, one block parallel to your spine under your rib cage. And then you could have a block higher up under your head or a little lower, depending on how much support you need. And if you're not comfortable in heart bench, it can be a different shape. Legs in heart bench can be in Supta Baddha Konasana, which is knees out, feet together, or straight up Shavasana. You can even do Padmasana, that's a little tight. That could be Padmasana. And then from this supine position, we're going to try to let our body be really heavy around the blocks. And we're going to take attention to our breathing. So not changing it, just observing it. Notice where you feel movement in your body as you breathe. Notice. I'm going to open a bottle, so excuse the sound of release of bubbles. It's not Prosecco, otherwise I would share. So notice if your breath feels even, inhale to exhale. And then locating where you experience the sensation of your breathing. Over the next 5 breaths, see if you can take that observation of breath a little farther out. So imagine like what the diameter of experiences, and then broaden it a little with each breath. So if you're feeling yourself breathe just in your mouth, feel yourself breathe into your thorax. And then maybe the next breath goes into your limbs. And after that, breath fills your body all the way to your fingers and toes. And then contract back from that expansion and feel your breath become just as deep but a little smaller. in its radius over the next five breaths or so. For the next few breaths, you're going to decide how you're going to come out of this without moving abruptly. So rolling over is generally preferable to lifting up through a sit-up. And then once you're over on your side, just stay there. So find a way to comfortably lie on your side. Maybe put a block under your head so your head is as high as your spine. And if you don't feel relaxed, right, lying on your side, you can take some other shape, but just take a moment. Just a pause in between shapes. And now, as you are ready, you're going to push yourself up and come into either a wide knee child's pose or Anahatanasana. So it could be this, it can be hips a little bit up, but chin down or forehead down. So for you guys, it's probably wide knee child's pose. And if somebody is watching and has a lot of hip mobility, it could be Anahatanasana with your hips slightly lifted, chin on the ground. And depending on the shape of your neck, it's either really easy to breathe here. If your forehead is down and your hips are back on your feet, it's probably really easy to breathe. If your chin is extended, it's a little harder to breathe. But just breathe as you can. No need to change your breath. No need to manipulate your breathing. gentlemen in the room, you are going to stay where you are. If anybody is watching this and they have more hip mobility, they can sort of transition into frog by taking your knees a little wider and then your ankles in line with your feet. But if you can do frog, you'll know what it is and you'll know how to get there. Otherwise, you stay in the wide knee child's pose. Yep. So you just sort of transfer, exactly. You transfer your hips over your knees a little more. Take a scan of your body, see if you are letting yourself relax into the posture, even though it's not necessarily comfortable. See if you're sort of holding tension in your arms and your shoulders and your jaw. Are you bracing yourself with your legs or your hips or your back? And is the quality of your breath telling you anything about your level of comfort in this shape? For the next 5 breaths or so, you are going to come out of the shape you're in and lie down, belly down. Your forehead can be on your hands, or you can turn your head and have one cheek on your hands. So you should be in a really neutral posture right now. And just take some breaths. Let your hips relax. You don't need to hold your legs up. And feel your breath lift you and then leave you. leaving your lower body as it is. You're going to lift up onto your forearms for Sphinx. But unlike how we usually practice Sphinx, letting our head hang, for this first Sphinx, we're going to lift our head and sort of think about there's a meridian in your body that kind of goes up the center of your body and up into your throat. So we're going to kind of extend. So if you lift you don't have to be really active in your upper body, but you're lifting your chin just so your clavicle and your throat gets to stretch a little. So it's actually a little bit of, it requires a little cognitive work to get into it because you want to be relaxed in your glutes and your back muscles, but active in the neck. It's as if you were reading on the beach, you fell asleep, and then all of a sudden you woke up. So everything stays mellow except your neck. And then if this becomes too much on your neck, slowly start to look down. Don't drop your head, but shift and let your head hang. But if you can keep your chin lifted, try to keep your chin lifted maybe for another minute. And if you can press into your hands and lift them into seal while your head is still lifted, you can do that. You can certainly come out of seal sooner if you want, otherwise we'll stay here for another 5 breaths. Really slowly lower down. You can come back into seal, this time seal with your head hanging. You're going to be in seal for about another minute. Of course, if you need to come out sooner, you can. And as you are ready, walk your elbows out to the sides, lower your head down on your hands. If you're comfortable sitting on your shins, you can lift up to sit on your shins to take a pause upright before we move into the next shape. And if you aren't comfortable sitting on your shins, if you have a block, you can sit on a block between your feet or sit in some other way. But we're just going to sit. We're taking these sort of micro meditations in between postures today, just to reset. So wherever you are, you should be comfortable enough. If it's just miserable, find a different way to sit. Yeah. Arms are heavy, spine is upright. And just feel yourself breathing. We're going to take about 10 breaths. You may take 8, you may take 12. I'll tell you when we're moving on. Preparing to move on. I'm going to come into Virasana, which is hero's pose. If you are a superstar in the hip flexor flexibility, you could do horse, where you stay on your heels and lean back. I'm not doing that. It's too much on my back. I'm doing Virasana, so my knees are together, my feet are wide, and I'm going to start to lean back. If sitting up gives you enough of a hip flexor stretch, you can stay right there, or you start to lay back. So for most men, this is a killer, which means that you need it. So think about tucking your tailbone and pulling your belly back towards you. That'll give you more stretch across the tops of your legs. If you just bend at the low back, you crunch up your back and you don't get more leg stretch. Nice. This is so good for your feet too, because again, I hate to be gender specific here, but most men don't point their feet like this very much. Exactly. You're missing out. We don't get to objectify you because you don't wear high heels. I will tell one of my classic stories that's completely inappropriate to tell. I'll tell a story about what a good mother I am, that I think a year or two ago my daughter was going to some dance and she doesn't know any boys, so she was set up with someone. And she had never met him, she didn't really care. She got a dress that was absurdly short, and then she got it shortened. She got heels that were a platform and a heel and just strappy, like just tied on with a bunch of string. And she wears glasses, and she didn't want to wear her glasses. She didn't think they looked festive. So I said, oh, this is good. So you're disabling yourself with stilts. You're basically naked, and you're blind. You know? I'd like to say that. Pardon me?
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah. Well,
you're perfect worse.
No, hold on.
Being facetious.
Okay, I'm back on. Very safe date. All right, so let's go back to our hip flexors. I gave you a distraction from thinking about them. If this is too much, you can come out and I will count a minute on each side and you can do the hip flexor. Actually, no, you know what? We're all gonna do it together in a minute. Stay where you are, stay where you are. I was gonna give you an option, but I'm gonna make the option mandatory. Yeah.
My daughter had her first weight training session at college day.
Yeah,
I've been delayed a little bit.
yeah.
And she was texting my wife, and all she could talk about was the hot guys who were in the class.
Yeah, that's what you get for going to girls' school.
She
You get to
said,
college and you can't believe it.
yeah, she said, wow.
Which is why I went to a women's college, because I went to co-ed high school and I had had enough. Okay. The crowd is complaining. We're gonna sit up.
I tried.
You all did very well. So take a minute, come out of that shape. Yeah. Down dog looks excellent. So follow your body's inclination. You can sit with your legs crossed, take a down dog. Do something to move again. Because we're doing another hip flexor posture next. Okay, when you're ready, we're gonna take dragon lunge next, and I'm gonna show a few variations. So it's basically 1 foot forward and the back leg back. It's like a lunge. So you could be here. You could like fire it up and take it with your back knee up for the first half minute or minute. But the yin variation is knee all the way down. And the front foot is actually turned out a little. And if your hip is really open, you can expose the bottom of your foot by dropping your knee out. And you can take your forearms down onto a block or forearms down onto the floor. And your head gets to hang on this one. And we won't stay here very long. We'll be about 2 minutes on each side.
Stretch with one hip or both.
Sorry?
The stretch is one hip or both.
It's both to me. What about you?
More on the left, on the right.
Yeah, so it's different. Like it's more adductor and hip flexor impingement on the front leg, and then it's all quad tendon on the back leg.
So the core and the edge to relaxed.
Relaxed. So another thing you can do if you want to feel it more in your back leg, Boris, is come up onto your hands. You could do that, but that's actually a lot of tension. So instead, come up onto your hands and drop your back hip down a little. Do you feel that more?
Yeah.
So that's one way to do it. Okay, you're gonna transfer your weight into your hands and arms. Take your front leg back. Sit back on your shins or in a child's pose and take another 10 breath meditation. staying soft in your breath. Hopefully relaxed in your mind. Lift back up and take your opposite leg forward. And you might find that where you feel it on the second leg is different from how you felt it on the first leg. And that might be because you come into the shape a little differently, or it might mean that you are just open and restricted in different places side to side. Everyone okay?
Change positions.
Well, having slid down a full flight of stairs, I certainly can cast dispersions. So notice if, when you feel tense in one part of your body, you feel that you get more tense in your face, in your jaw, in your shoulders. Hopefully you don't, but if you do, then allow the places that don't need to be tense to relax. You're here for about 5 more breaths. So take a little scan of your face, your neck, your shoulders. Are you relaxed there, or could you be? And as you are ready, you can lift yourself up and go back to a child's pose, or find a comfortable sitting position. And now that we are done with both sides, yeah, so stretch out a little, I'm sorry. You can take a more active stretch, like a down dog first. And then together we'll take another 10 breath meditation. But if you get into your meditation shape first, you can start. So just eyes closed, breath easy, just observing yourself breathe for about 10 breaths.
masks for you. You can breathe.
Okay, we're gonna come. Good.
It's amazing how different
Yes.
edges,
Oh,
different each side feels.
yes.
How much more flexible or less
Yeah.
flexible.
So we'll do. So those are our last sided postures. We're gonna do single-sided postures now. First one is dragonfly. So Vishabhadasana, legs out, but they're relaxed. So the difference is you don't want to engage your quads. So when your muscles stay relaxed, like they do in Yin, you are more likely to get to stretch. You stretch a different part of the tendon. When your muscle is contracted, I can't remember if it's the distal or the proximal part of the tendon, but if your muscle is contracted, one side of your tendon stretches, one end, and if your muscles are relaxed, the other end stretches, and your joint capsules stretch. So it's important for us to do these separately. And then you lean forward as is comfortable. If your head can hang, allow it to. And then find your passive breath as it occurs naturally. Try to stay focused on your breath, on your breathing for the next 5 breaths, just the next 5. And can you notice whether your body was able to relax a little more when you were focused on your breathing? And if you think it did, go back to focusing on your breathing. And if you think a different point of focus is preferable, you could keep your point of focus on the sensation of stretch. Stay where you are. I'm going to take a little body scan. So without moving these parts of your body, just see if you can be aware of them. So awareness of your feet, your left toes, your left foot, your left ankle, your right toes, your right foot, your right ankle, your left calf, and your left shin. your left knee, your right calf, your right shin, your right knee. And then the inner thigh that you feel the most, notice that. Notice the back of that leg, the side of the leg, and the top. And then take your attention to your other leg, the adductors, the back of the leg, the outside of the leg, and the top of the leg. Take your attention to your low back. Let your attention go all the way up your spine. As many stops as you can make along your lumbar, along your ribs, to your neck, and then your head. Feel your face. It's relaxed. Brow unfurrowed. Jaw relaxed. And then shoulders are heavy. Upper arms. Elbows. Forearms. Just your left hand and your left fingers. And then your right hand and your right fingers. And then slowly start to press into these hands to lift yourself up to sit. You may not want to move your legs immediately. You may just lean back into your hands. But if you want to move your legs, you may. You're going to eventually. Take any counter movement you want. And in about 5 breaths, we'll meet for our 10 breath meditation. So any shape you want to sit in. 10 breaths. As you come out of that, we will transition to bridge pose, which in Yin is a block underneath your sacrum. And you can have your feet on the ground with your knees bent, or you can extend your legs all the way out. Or you can extend your legs one at a time. So if you're extending your legs one at a time, one leg is straight out, one knee is bent, and I'll tell you when to switch sides. just been working with one leg, switch legs. And if you've been working with one leg at a time, extend both legs. Or think about extending both legs for the last 10 breaths, and maybe take your arms overhead so your feet and arms are reaching opposite directions. If your legs are extended, bring your feet back to the ground one leg at a time. Press down into your feet, lift your hips just enough to remove the block. Put the block out to the side, sacrum down. And I did not lie, but I misled. We're gonna do one more sided posture. We're gonna do a spinal twist. So hips go to the left, right leg over left, knees to the right. Bring your legs back to center, unwind. Hips go to the right, left leg crosses and takes knees to the left. Slowly bring your legs back up to center. You can take a minute or half a minute with your knees 2 feet in. And as you are ready, you can extend your legs for Shavasana. Either nothing under your back. If you have 2 blocks, you can put a block under each thigh up near your sits bones. Like that. You have 2. Arms out to the sides. Arms and legs heavy. Head heavy. Face relaxed. Torso contracting and expanding as you breathe. And I will now be silent for 2 minutes. Staying where you are, not moving. Notice your feet. Notice your legs. Notice your hands and your arms. Feel your belly and rib cage move as you breathe. Maybe feeling that breath in your throat, in your mouth, in your nose. Without moving your face, feeling your face, knowing it's there. And then maybe bringing a little bit of stretch first into your face, your eyebrows, your jaw, however that can happen. And then let that extend to some movement in your neck. Maybe stretch through your fingers and your toes. Maybe making circles with wrists and ankles. Then letting those stretches grow into your arms and your legs and maybe your trunk. As those stretches grow, you can roll over to your side and lift yourself to sit. And I'm pretty confident the room is empty, so if you wanted to stay for a 5-15-minute meditation, this is a nice time and place to do it. If you are not staying, we'll take a breath together, reach arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center or to your legs. Thank you for being here. Namaste. Thank you for being here online. Adieu.